with us. I just wanted to jump on K-Mac's case about that from the get-go.
Boy.
And you do owe me, by the way.
You
I
got
did win
me.
money from you last week.
Yeah. I'll get that
That's
right
correct.
to
You're $1,000 in the hole. Well, we've had another good day here in Myrtle Beach. The weather was pretty nice, sunny for the most part. Wind was blowing, so it made it a little cooler than we all like. It's not the balmy conditions we've had in the past, but it's not Arctic-like either. We've had it all over the years here in Myrtle Beach this week. So far, it's been pretty good. 2 more practices in the books. I'm telling you, these 2 teams are getting after it really hard. Coaches are coaching really hard. And I think we're going to see some good stuff on Saturday. Kickoff will be at 12:30 and airtime. We have a terrific lineup of stations for you. We'll tell you a little bit later on where you'll be able to catch the game over the airwaves. Got a good list of stations lining up to be part of the Touchstone Energy Bowl North-South Network for this year. To tell you about, we'll do that too. And we're going to hear tonight from Mark Quinn with Touchstone Energy talking about the company's involvement with the game and how much they are enjoying being a part of the North-South organization and working with the coaches. Also, I had a chance to be over at Coastal Carolina today. The shot o'clock tomorrow for Fargo, North Dakota, to play North Dakota State at noon on Saturday. They'll play indoors. Actually, the weather's not going to be that bad. They're talking about 40 degrees outside, but it'll be 70 degrees indoors when they play the 3-time defending FCS national champions. We'll hear from Coach Joe Moglia, who also gives us some stock advice at the end of the year. So those of you with money on Wall Street, stay tuned for that. Back in a moment. We are back at Sports Talk here on a Wednesday night. Got a very busy show for you. Love to hear from you as well. 800-956-7266 is how you can dial us up. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at sportstalksc. You can catch us on one of our excellent stations around the state of South Carolina. You can also catch our audio feed from our website, sportstalksc.com, and the video feed at sportstalksc.com. All right, a lot of things to talk about. And let me mention a couple of things from here at the North-South game. Today, couple of injuries. One player is going to miss the game because of an injury suffered this morning. That is Andrew Jackson quarterback Colby Whitley suffered a cracked collarbone in practice this morning. So, unfortunately, he's out for the rest of the week. And big offensive lineman Blake Durant on the South team out of Sumter, he suffered a foot injury this morning. I think he just got stepped on. He missed the afternoon practice. He was on crutches. They expect him to be back and able to practice tomorrow. 2 more practices today. They'll practice again tomorrow, and then they're going to go meet with some children from here in the Myrtle Beach area at a local Target and going to give them some gifts. Going to have a good time of fellowship and sharing some happy times with some underprivileged kids. It's good for those kids. It's good for the players and the coaches as well. Something they really, really enjoy. Highlight sheet for tomorrow. But the practices have been good. The players have been very well behaved and very attentive, and I think everybody's had a good time. Meantime, over at Coastal Carolina, about 15 miles west of here in Conway, they're getting ready to go to North Dakota State, team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. But the fact that they've only had to play 1 game before going to North Dakota State this time compared to last year when they had to play 2 games, including a trip to Montana. They played in near zero conditions and then turn around and go to North Dakota State. Well, a little bit different this time around and a little bit different feel among the Chanticleers and Coach Joe Moglia as they prepare to make that trip. We'll hear from the coach coming up a little bit later on. Meantime, K-Mac, now the reports are widespread. Of course, David Hood of TigerNet was the first to report it last night that Deshaun Watson is going to have surgery Friday, and apparently Dabo Swinney spoke or told someone in the media that that will indeed be the case because his comments been picked up far and wide.
Yeah, ESPN, the Associated Press, all reporting that Deshaun Watson will not play in the Tigers bowl game against Oklahoma. They're going to have surgery on that torn ACL this week. And, you know, this doesn't surprise me at all. I don't think they probably just came to that decision. A lot of different factors on waiting, seeing where you're going to play in the bowl game, not revealing to the people that were releasing the polls on Sunday what the status was going to be of your quarterback, trying to get the best bowl game possible. But at the end of the day, it makes sense. Why risk it? Why risk a setback, further injury, slowing down the rehab process, get him back 100%? So it will be Cole Stout starting against Oklahoma in the Russell Athletic Bowl.
Well, I heard from some well-heeled Gamecock fans that, you know, if he'd had the surgery 3 weeks ago, he would have been well on his way
and that's
to recovery
what, you know, and you know, we can go back and revisit that. I will say there's a big difference. You know, the rivalry game that you wanted to snap the losing streak. If he wanted to go out there and say, you know what, we'll brace it up for 1 game, let's go for it. You know, I don't think there's a lot of doctors that would recommend doing that, but there are doctors, obviously, some at Clemson that said, you know what, if you really want to do it, we can brace it up and we think you'll be okay. You just don't have any lateral movement. But this is a guy that's had 3 injuries to that knee in less than 2 years, just over a year. Get that thing cleaned up, get it strong, get him ready so he's available for the season opener next year and the games that start counting again, because like it or not, this one doesn't count. And I saw, you know, some Clemson people saying, you know, this shows that Clemson doesn't want to win the bowl game, and if he could play against South Carolina, I think they were buying that whole it couldn't get worse thing. And again, I'm not debating that fact at all, but I will say that you show me an orthopedic surgeon out there that would recommend a guy with a torn ACL play 4 quarters of football. Okay, I know he did it before. I don't think that would be a very beneficial thing to do. But all that being said, Clemson does want to win the bowl game, but the future of Deshaun Watson is more important than winning this bowl game. And I think Dabo Swinney and his staff believe they can beat Oklahoma with Cole Stout, like they beat Louisville, like they beat Boston College. They believe they can put together a game plan. They have a whole month now to prepare him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy, and it's his last hurrah, his final game. I think they're going to try to catch lightning in a bottle and go down there and finish strong. And I think they can do that.
The basic formula is to run the football and stop the run. Oklahoma is easy to handle if you get them in second and long. If you can stuff the run, and that's their bread and butter, you got a chance to win, because their quarterbacking is a little bit questionable when they throw forward pass. That'll be interesting. Cohen, just wanted to shift gears because coaching dominoes beginning to fall again across the country. That may or may not affect the SEC, but I would say a solid job. I'm not going to say a prime job. It may be a prime job, but Wisconsin is now open because Gary Anderson is filling the position. He leaves the Big Ten as Oregon State's coach. Mike Riley leaves the Pac-12. Well, they take a Big Ten coach as Gary Anderson is moving from Wisconsin to Oregon State. So that big Wisconsin job is now open.
Well, that's a prime job. I don't know how much they have coming back. They're obviously losing their quarterback and their outstanding wide receiver. I think they lose their quarterback, too.
They lose Melvin Gordon, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, the outstanding running back. But, we'll see what happens with that, leaving the Big Ten to go to Oregon State, leaving a prime Big Ten program, one that just played for its championship, to go to Oregon State. That's an interesting move. All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Lines are open if you'd like to join us here on the program tonight to talk about the bowl developments, the situation with Deshaun Watson, Clemson's decision to go ahead and get that done. What about the hiring officially announced today by Clemson? Brandon Streeter going to be the quarterback's coach and the recruiting coordinator for the Tigers. Another good hire for them. He's part of their family. He's proven himself as an assistant coach at Liberty and at Richmond, and he was a quarterback. I think he's really highly regarded. I don't know how much recruiting duties he handled previously at his other stops, but he's going to take that on at Clemson, which, he'll have Jeff Scott to lean on if he needs any help there. But we all remember Brandon Streeter, guys, from his playing days at Clemson. Exceptional quarterback, the son of a coach out of Pennsylvania, and as tough as they come, I remember what he did to his ankle one year at Clemson, had a terrible ankle injury, and got that thing fixed and came back and played the next year. So Dabo Swinney is sticking within the Clemson family. He's also keeping his staff pretty much on the young side with this hire as well. He's got to have, these guys are in their 30s, and they're not babies or anything like that, but pretty much across the board on the offensive side, they're really young. On the defensive side, maybe a little bit older with Dan Brooks. And let me think. Anybody else of age there really? Oh, Marion Hobby's not a puppy. So a little bit older on the defensive side of things than on the offensive side of things.
Well, this may open up some more recruiting ground. Phil, maybe you can tell me this. The last 10 years, I can't remember, Clemson, even though being in the ACC, has mined Virginia that much. That might open up some new avenues in the state of Virginia.
They've actually hit Virginia harder here of late. They've got linebacker Chad Smith from Virginia committed in this class. They were in on some other guys, but you're right. I imagine that Brandon will have some strong ties in Virginia, the Chesapeake Bay area, maybe obviously up in the Pennsylvania area as well. I would think that he might work that part of the country pretty hard. All right, 800-956-7266. Cam Newton is not going to play this week. They are going to keep him out. Derek Anderson will be the Panthers' starting quarterback against Tampa. Back in a moment. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Wednesday night. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. We'll do recruiting coming up for you a little bit later on, but a couple of notes that are of major interest. Chad Kelly, former Clemson quarterback, announced today that he is headed to Ole Miss. Hotty toddy. Good luck down there, Rebels fans, with Chad Kelly. You know, if he keeps everything together, guys, and if he's matured after his year in junior college, he should do extremely well with that offense and with his skills and with the people who will be surrounding him. There's no reason why he shouldn't be an outstanding quarterback. He showed flashes at Clemson before he got hurt and before he had his temper tantrum.
Well, you know, it's all on him now, and sometimes it's just you need a year off and a new beginning. I'm just so sad.
K-Mac, you're chuckling.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, well, I'm just so sad, Phil, that Ole Miss doesn't have Chad Kelly and Marshall Henderson on campus at the same time.
What could possibly go wrong with Chad Kelly in Oxford? Look, I'm pulling for him because you want guys like that for the light to come on, but he had a long way to go.
He's got a steady girlfriend. She's an Atlanta Falcons cheerleader, so he doesn't need to be fishing in the pond.
That's not a plus, first of all. That's probably another reason to get your head all screwed up. That's just it. He's dating a Falcons cheerleader.
What is wrong
He's got
with
a rap.
NFL cheerleader?
He's making music videos.
What assumptions are you drawing about a person
any
who dates
assumptions.
an NFL cheerleader?
I'm stating facts. I mean, I think that he's got a lot of things on his plate outside of football that just involve Chad Kelly, all about Chad Kelly, and that's what got him into trouble at Clemson. And I'll tell you, the lasting image that I have of him, the last time I watched him in the pads, was him cussing out every coach that got close to him on the field at Death Valley, and that was not even a year ago. That was April. So maybe he's turned his life around since then, and I hope he has, but I'm a little skeptical, and they take some chances on guys. I know Bo Wallace had some baggage there at Ole Miss too, so maybe they think they can turn this kid around like they did him.
I would have to feel.
I'm just skeptical.
I would have to feel. I don't know what kind of influence he has on him, Cohen, but I have to feel that his uncle, after his battle with cancer, Jim Kelly should have had a heart-to-heart by now with Chad and tell him, look, guy, this is a golden opportunity. Don't blow it.
Yeah. Well, look, if it works out for Ole Miss, great move for them. I mean, they go from a very good quarterback to a guy that's got a lot of skills. I mean, he led his team to the national championship. He had an incredible season, statistically speaking. I don't know about the competition. Maybe they were just head and shoulders above everybody else, but he still threw for, off the top of my head, about 3,500 yards and rushed for 600 or 700 yards, a lot of touchdowns, not all that many interceptions. He's got skills. This could be a coup for Ole Miss.
Ryan Leaf had skill too.
An older guy, veteran guy stepping right in. You hear me, South Carolina? You're going to rue the day that you didn't recruit Chad Kelly or go after somebody to help you out at the quarterback spot.
You're going to apologize to him one day. You're going to apologize to Connor Mitch.
It's South Carolina Radio Network around the state. Your final word in sports every night in South Carolina. Your most informed word in sports. And when I'm talking, your most handsome word in sports. Just look at me. Those of you tuned in to the internet video feed, look at me. K-Mac, when you look at me on the internet feed, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
That we need to put a TVMA warning on our video feed for children that are watching. You know, my wife said, you know, I'm going to pull up the video feed and watch you when we're at home with the kids. I said, don't do that, Lord. I don't want to pay for the psychiatric treatment that these kids will need watching that.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, well, it's hard.
All right, 800-956-7266. I'm in Myrtle Beach here for the North-South game. Another great day of watching football and talking with players and coaches over at Coastal Carolina today as well. We'll hear from Joe Moglia, going to hear from Bobby Carroll talking about Jadeveon Clowney, Mark Quinn from Touchstone Energy, all that coming up here on the program tonight. Love to hear from you. Got some recruiting coming up as well. We mentioned about Chad Kelly. We'll also talk about Albert Huggins coming up, Damon Arnett, Ray McLeod, all that coming up in recruiting here in just a little. But let's get to your calls, 800-956-7266. We're going to go to Florence to talk to Billy. Hi, Billy. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, Phil. Guys, I appreciate you taking my call. Hope you're doing well. First of all, I want to I hated the comment. I'm going to make a quick comment, and I'm going to make another comment on the Tigers and hang up. But I'm a Clemson fan, as you know, but I like to see good football players, and it's a shame with the news coming out with Jadeveon Clowney. It's kind of the same issue Daquan Bowers had. It went from cleaning out cartilage to a microfracture, which with Clowney's freakish nature and him long, lanky, planting that leg, I just hate it for the guy because Daquan Bowers never been the same since he had that microfracture surgery. And I know I heard a Houston Texans spokesman say that there would be a possibility if everything didn't pan out that there could be a cut in progress, but they will do everything possible because they invested a lot in him being number one pick. But anyway,
a cut? What do you mean a cut?
Well, if everything didn't work out, there could be a cut if the surgery didn't go well because it's about an 8 to 9 month rehab. K-Mac, and what they're saying if it
you mean
from the team? Yes, sir.
A Houston Texans spokesman said they're. I mean, come on.
Well, the guy that was on, I was up towards Columbia, and I was catching that.
Yeah,
game.
I mean that would be. I mean, you're right. It's scary. Now, that surgery, it's not a good track record on guys that have recovered from that. That's what Greg Oden had. Grant Hill had it. He wasn't the same player.
I think,
Amari Stoudemire now, he came back, and you know they've come a long way. And since Penny Hardaway did it so long ago, it really was kind of a death knell. Then they've come a lot farther with it, but you're right with the type of player that he is. We'll see how he bounces back.
Of course, that surgery involves almost like grading the cartilage, and then it has to regenerate, and it's supposed to be produce regeneration of new cartilage. But some it catches, some it doesn't. But I will say this, and I know I'm speaking out of tune here, but I want to say it anyway. Part of the problem his knee is hurting is they're using him wrong. The guy's a pass rusher. He's not a backup outside linebacker. And for Houston to take that talent that can rush the passer and try to turn him into an outside linebacker, it still boggles the mind.
And I know our guy, he has another question about the Tigers. I'll say this, too. It's a freak thing that happened, too, on the worst playing surface. According to others, Houston has the worst playing surface in the NFL. He got the initial injury jumping up and landing in a hole on the field and tweaked his knee and maybe came back too soon, according to some people around Houston. He felt pressure to get back out on the field. He felt like he was letting people down, and you know that there's all the things that follow around a guy like Clowney, a number one pick that had all the hoopla. He wanted to get back out there and just it did not respond well, and now he's got to have this microfracture surgery. So it's terrible news for Clowney, and you're right. Nobody likes to hear it, but hopefully he can continue to be a freak in terms of comeback and change the way we look at this kind of injury.
And I'll say this real quick. I just like to see good football, and that's all I want to comment. I don't want to see that happen to any body. And Phil, I've got a question for you, and or I'm a comment, and if you would comment on it. Phil, the Tigers went 9-3 this year, and everybody kind of used the term rebuilt the offense. You got Watkins, Bryant, Brown, a bunch of starters, Nuke Hopkins in the NFL right now. But do you think it's to the point that the Tigers, and I think it's something special coming up for the next 2 years. I'm glad Watson went on the shelf, get him well. We'll worry about the bowl game and rally around Cole, whatever. The point I'm going to try to make here real quick is the Tigers to the point where they're not rebuilding the way Dabo Swinney is one of the elite recruiters in the country? Are they reloading? Because LSU finds herself on a mediocrity right now, and they have some great players. And I just used LSU because they reload with these freakish athletes. But the Tigers went 9-3, and I want to use the analogy Dabo might have showed up to the party a little too late, because what if he'd have started Deshaun from the get-go? And I know Deshaun had a setback with a collarbone injury or shoulder injury in the spring, and Chad Kelly and Cole was ahead of him at that juncture. But the Tigers still went 9-3. So that's still doing pretty good. But are the Tigers at the point where they're reloading?
Well, let me
I'm
go
going to take it off
your
there.
question. Thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call every time you call. We really appreciate it. Listen, Clemson, if Deshaun Watson is healthy, if they can keep him healthy, they will be national championship playoff contenders the next 2-3 years. Period. End of statement. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country, no doubt about it. They're going to surround him with incredible offensive weaponry. All right, Artava Scott, and then you got Ray McLeod coming in, Deion Kane coming in, not to mention the other people already in the program. The offensive line they've recruited that's coming in, incredible. I mean, it's just a great-looking group. Defensively, they do take a hit up front this year, but they've got good people waiting in the wings. They got to replace 2 really good linebackers. I think their secondary will be fine. Travis Blank's coming back off a red shirt. It's going to be a bonus for him. That's like recruiting another 5-star guy to come into your class. Schedule sets up nicely for him. So, yes, reloading, however you want to term it, I think, and maybe you guys, you can agree or disagree, I think Clemson will be right there with a healthy Deshaun Watson. They should be right there to win their division in the ACC, play for the ACC championship, and get a spot in the national playoff 2015, 2016, and if he's still there, maybe 2017.
Well, for the immediate future, the offense early on next year is going to have to carry the defense to the guys get up to snuff, because you're replacing almost the entire front seven. I think probably, Phil, Clemson, in my opinion, has to do that. And people say, well, why do you say they have to do it? Because even though Jameis Winston probably will go pro, even though his dad continues to say no, I think he's going pro, Florida State's not going anywhere. Louisville, to me, looks dangerous. I mean, Bobby Petrino, talk about his character if you want to. He unleashes some dangerous offenses when he gets his players, and with the defense playing well, they're not going anywhere. And I think the entire league is on the uptick, the ACC. So Clemson being a national championship contender, I think they have to be in order to win the ACC.
Yeah, winning their division, winning the ACC, that'll put them right in the playoff, and I think they're going to be good enough. I know you mentioned their losses on defense, and I understand, but they have seasoned players who have been worked in and out of the lineup who will step in and help ease that transition. Be right back.
I talked to him or texted him prior to the surgery and just, told him to keep his head up.
Among the coaches here at the North-South game this week is York head coach Bobby Carroll, as we talk some high school football, brought to you by South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. And not only with Coach Carroll are we talking high school football as he coordinates the defense for the North. In an earlier life, he was the head coach at South Point, where he coached Javion Clowney. And he was Clowney's coach when Clowney went to South Carolina. He's remained very close to him. Now, I talked with him after practice this afternoon about this surgery that Clowney has had, this microfracture surgery he's had on his knee. He hasn't talked to Clowney since the surgery, but he fills us in on where things stand as far as he knows from earlier contact with Clowney.
I talked to him or texted him prior to the surgery and just, told him to keep his head up. I think he'll be real positive. And he's had surgery before. He's had stress fractures in his foot when he was in the 10th grade, and they did surgery. And, a lot of people say, he can't come back from that. But, the stronger your hamstring and your calf are, the easier it is to come back from any type of knee injury and knee surgery. And I'm sure he'll do whatever he has to do. And Coach O'Brien and those guys down there, Coach Fitzgerald, the strength guy down there, will have him doing what he needs to do. But I don't think it'll hold Clowney down. I think when any of us have any type of surgery, they always, tell us the worst, prepare for the worst, and expect the best. And, I'm sure that's how they'll do it. They're not going to say, hey, man, you're going to be ready to go in 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when you hear the word microfracture surgery, that has a little different ring to it.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is, Phil. But Clowney will tell me what's going on, and I just have all the faith in the world that he'll do whatever he has to. And it's a shame, man. It's almost like a thoroughbred racehorse, and they just have these little nagging injuries that keep him out. But I think he'll bounce back. I really do. I just know he has a lot of determination to want to play in the National Football League.
Do you think he went through most of his last year at South Carolina with this injury, and this is just sort of the culmination of the wear and tear?
Well, I remember going down there and they were practicing one day, and the young guys were scrimmaging, and the upperclassmen were running sprints, and he was over there doing crunches. And I said, JD, what's wrong, man? He said, hey, they told me my knees hurt, to take it easy. And I don't know, it could be something that's been going on that he just played through, and finally, his body wouldn't let him do it anymore. I'm not sure, but I'll find out. I'll call his agent, and I'll call his mom, and I'll call Marty Summacris. He's a good friend of him, and I don't want to talk to him. That's the topic of our conversation, something he probably does not want to talk about at all.
Yeah. What do you think this year's been like for him? I'm sure you've talked to him some while he's been able to play. How's that worn on him?
He's been extremely frustrated, man. He wanted to play hard, and, everybody was, kind of questioning his manhood. Come on, man up. And he knows, man, that guy wants to play football. He knows that's his ticket, and, he wasn't the number one draft pick because he was faking injuries and stuff. He played hard, and I think Coach O'Brien believed that he was hurt, and he knew when he said, hey, my knee's not right, and I don't know if it was misdiagnosed or what it was, but, he played. He tried to come back from it, just couldn't come back.
Do you think he can get back to where he was going through all the knee procedures and everything else that he's had?
I think so, because if you've ever been around JD and seen him in a pair of shorts and lifting weights with no shirt on, there's no fat on him. So I'm just telling you, the stronger, there are guys that play without ACLs. The stronger that hamstring and quad and calf are, and there's no fat in his legs at all. So I think he will be, but the NFL is a brutal sport, brutal game, and he's just going to have to do extensive rehab. I'm hearing for 9 months, and I think he'll do it. I really do. And whether he's going to be a 4-4 guy again, I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past him. I've seen him do some incredible things, and I'll be with him till the day it's over, and the day after football's long gone, he'll always be special to me.
All right.
Coach of York High School, and, of course, the former coach at South Point where he coached Jadeveon Clowney. So he'll find out more, guys, after he has a chance to talk with Clowney or Bus Cook here in the next day or so. But, he feels like Clowney fight through this and rehab and work hard, but, that's all well and good. It might be out of his hands.
Right.
If you got something going on with the knee that they can't get all the way back, especially for a pro football player, I don't know.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. I mean, if it's one thing if they're just repairing ligaments, but this microfracture, there's just a bad track record, and Pope has, passed out some information he's dug up that I'm looking at now. Kellen Winslow, Terrell Davis, Dan Marino, these are all guys that attempted to have the microfracture surgery and weren't able to come back yet. Deshaun Foster, Courtney Brown, a lot of guys. Now, they have made a lot of advances in medicine here since some of those guys tried it. And, hopefully Clowney will beat those odds, but it's not a good-looking injury for sure.
Let's give you the recruiting report tonight, brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperatives, sponsors of the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl coming up on Saturday in Myrtle Beach. Hope you can be here. Should have a great crowd, should have excellent weather, naming of Mr. Football as well. It'll all start at 12:30 with the kickoff. Airtime on our network will be at noon. All right, to recruiting now. Georgia will be in tomorrow to see defensive lineman Albert Huggins of Orangeburg Wilkinson. Bulldogs head coach Mark Richt will head up the contingent. According to OW coach Tommy Brown, as of tonight, Clemson was not in today, and he said he's not expecting the Tigers in tomorrow. So according to the coach, I guess Clemson's had their last in-person meeting with Huggins, and Georgia will get the last. And Huggins will take two hats to his ceremony on Friday morning, one for Clemson, one for Georgia. We'll be there and provide coverage for you on Twitter, on our Twitter site, SportsTalkSC.com. As we mentioned earlier, former Clemson quarterback Chad Kelly, East Mississippi Junior College, announced a commitment today to Ole Miss on Twitter. Led his team to the JUCO National Championship by passing for 3,906 yards, 47 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, completing 67% of his passes, rushing for 446 yards, and 8 touchdowns. USC committed defensive back Damon Arnett said today he remains firmly committed to USC, but he will take an official visit to Louisville January 17th. He's got USC on the 23rd. And he will set other official visits, and he's also been considering Ohio State and Kentucky. Clemson, Clemson commitment wide receiver Ray McLeod III of Tampa told 24/7 Sports that he might not enroll early at Clemson because of a family situation. This comes on the heels of an in-home visit with new Florida coach Jim McElwain, which, of course, raised the concern of Clemson fans because McLeod said some things in that story that indicated that there might be some interest in Florida. But McLeod's father told TigerNet his son is still 100% with Clemson but has not decided on when he will enroll because of that family situation. We rely on TigerNet to put out all recruiting fires at Clemson. That's what they do. And former Louisville commitment Kareem Orr, defensive back from Chattanooga, has been offered by Clemson. He also is looking at Mississippi State, Arizona State, Oklahoma, Indiana, and Washington State. He's going to visit Clemson on January 23rd. He will go to Arizona State the weekend before that, and he was at Oklahoma last weekend. All right, that will do it for recruiting. I'll clear my throat. We'll be back for a great second hour. Don't go away.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We are back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Wednesday night. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornbluth here at the beach, K-Mac professor and Steakman back at our studios on Main Street down in Columbia. Sports Talk, your Sports Talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. Let's go up to Lancaster. Tiger Bryan, you're up next on Sports Talk. Good evening.
Man, how y'all doing, guys?
I think we're doing great. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good, man. You know what gets me? I mean, this is how I am, Cohen. You know how I am. I'm a Tiger, blue and blue. All you know. But hey, when it comes to a kid that like Clowney, the way I've seen him play in high school and at University of South Carolina, and didn't make it, and something like this happens, I mean, hey, I want him to do good, because he's playing up there with Hopkins at Texas. You know what I mean? But besides that, he represents the state of South Carolina. Kids can, if they put their mind to it and heart and soul, they can do whatever they want to do in life. And that's what we need to preach to our kids. You know what I mean? We need, whatever they can, whatever you put your mind to it, positive things.
I agree. I think that everybody in the state of South Carolina, Gamecock, Tiger, otherwise, should be hoping that Clowney gets healthy because not only can he bring notoriety to his alma mater, but notoriety to his state as well by going on and having a good professional
and there's
career.
some people out there, and I've seen it some on Twitter now, and look, I know there's rivalries, and Clowney was a lightning rod just because of his status really from early on in high school, and he had this label that he was lazy, and all those cameras were on him from ESPN, and some of it fair, some of it probably not. But all that being said, Jadeveon Clowney has never had one bit of trouble with the law. He kept his nose on straight. He played 3 years at South Carolina, played on 3 of the greatest teams in school history, and was a big part of it. There isn't anybody that should be treating him any different than they did when Marcus Lattimore was injured or anybody else, Deshaun Watson. I mean, nobody should ever take pleasure in a guy being injured. And it just that sometimes it disgusts me to see some people like go after somebody that they don't like because he played for a different school or they have this preconceived notion in their head. This is a guy out there that I think got a kind of a bad rap in terms of his work ethic. I believe Bobby Carroll and Brad Law, and when they say this guy's really motivated to be one of the greatest football players ever, that's what motivates him. He wants to be the greatest football player ever, and he was on that path, and hopefully he'll still be on that path. But I mean, this is a very serious injury that he's dealing with, no doubt.
Yeah,
but it's not because he's being lazy or he doesn't work hard. I mean, football's a violent sport, like Carroll said.
When he comes back, Houston, put him at left end. This outside linebacker experiment, throw it out the window.
All right, Coach, you guys get North Dakota State up there. The experience from last year.
I mean, I think, Phil, but we don't dwell on it at all, Phil. I think, though, but we do learn from how we don't dwell on it at all, Phil. I think, though, but we do learn from it.
There is one other team in our state still playing football besides, of course, Clemson and USC getting ready for their bowl games upcoming, and that would be Coastal Carolina. Chanticleers moving into round 3 of the FCS playoffs. Of course, they had a first-round bye. Last week they took care of Richmond, and now they head up to North Dakota State to face the defending national champions. What a program North Dakota State has. They have a dome in which they play up in Fargo, North Dakota, so the outside elements won't be that much of a problem, but indoors they're very, very difficult, very loud. Their fans really get behind their team and make it difficult for the visiting team. Today, Coach Joe Moglia, head coach at Coastal, had his weekly news conference. We were there for that. Then I had a chance to talk one-on-one with him and asked him about how they're feeling about another trip up to North Dakota State.
We don't dwell on it at all, Phil. I think, though, but we do learn from it. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just being able to acclimate to the incredible noise that their fans make in that dome. But having been there once, we understand how really serious that noise is, and we need to understand how to be able to handle it. So we spend time talking about that and thinking about it, so we better can acclimate and adjust to that.
Some of your key players who played last year, a year older now, more mature, they probably have a better grasp about how to deal with all that.
Well, that'd be true of anybody that's gone through it once. So it's not necessarily a maturity issue. It's just a simple experience issue. You talk about it, but you don't quite experience it until you're really there, and you've got to be able to execute under pressure. And you have all those noise going on around you. Having gone through that once should help you prepare for that next time.
You pointed out in your press conference that you're telling your players about how to focus in that kind of scenario where there's a lot of noise against you.
It's the way the mind works. It's the way the actual understanding. It's having a little better understanding how the brain works. So brain has an incredible ability to be able to focus, but most people don't use that ability. So really, truly focus with regards to, let's say, the incredible noise in a stadium, for example. If you're not doing that, what you hear is the noise, and the noise is bothering you, and you're trying to think about what you need to do. By truly focus, you have the ability, literally, mentally, to be able to bring what you need to think about to literally the front of your brain. So you're focused far more on your assignment, your responsibility, what your opponent's doing, what you need to do next. And there's still the noise, but the noise then becomes background. And once you get to that point and the noise is background, you're okay. You will be able to execute. You won't have an issue. And you might find, and we teach our guys that if you hear the noise more than you hear the mind telling you what you need to do, that means you've lost that focus. You've lost that concentration. So that's a red flag, so you've got to get the concentration back. And you don't necessarily have it at the beginning of the game and then keep it the entire game. You've got to make sure you have it every time you go out on the field. So that's something we talk to our guys about, and that's something I think most people probably don't talk to the guys about. They just say, like, focus. You got to know how to do that. That's something you learn how to do. It doesn't happen by accident because you're told to do it.
Do they get it, your players?
Not all of them get it. No, because I think it's very, very difficult. Not all of them focus the way they need to when they have to. By the way, this is the same thing for coaches. Coaches get rattled too when they get a little noise and they kind of get a little rattled. They get a little jumpy, then they don't think clearly. So every one of the people that are making this trip, every one of the guys on the staff, every one of the guys on the sideline, every one of the guys on the team have to understand that that's their job and that's their responsibility, and they need to be able to do that. We're trying to do that. That's not so easy to do, but we think about it, talk about it, and hopefully here's what I know. We will be better at it than we would be if we hadn't spent this time talking about how the brain works.
Mm-hmm. Last year they had over 600 yards against you in that playoff win, and their defense is outstanding. Any drop down for those guys up there that you've noticed this year with the coaching change? I know some of the old coaches stayed around, but do you see any let up in what they do well?
No, I think their defense is every bit as good as their defense a year ago, if not better. They are, without question, the number 1 or 2 team, top defense in the country. And they are one of the better offenses in the country. Maybe their offense was a little bit better a year ago, but their offense is very, very, very good. They've got a top offense. They have the top defense, and they've been very, very good with the specialists and special teams. So, no, this is a very, very good football team.
So what do you guys have to do offensively? I know you said protect the football is a huge part of this deal for you guys, eliminating turnovers if at all possible. But in terms of execution, what do you foresee working for you offensively against that defense?
I see us. We need to have a game plan that's reasonably simple. We need to have a game plan that I think is reasonably balanced because we don't know exactly what's going to work. So as we go into the game and we find, for example, let's say our off-tackle power play is more effective than our inside zone play or our perimeter attack, then we've got to do a better job. Then we'll focus more on that because we know that's successful. Then if they got to cheat a little bit to be able to take that away, that might open up something else. Same principle with regards to run to pass or something else we might do with the passing game.
How do your guys feel going into this game, coming off the win over Richmond? Do they feel confident going on the road to a place where they were soundly beaten last year?
Yeah, I think our guys they know, number one, it's not the same team as last year. It's not the same team for them. For us, it's not the same game. It's not the same anything. It just happens to be the same 2 schools. So if we had won last year, that's not going to impact this game. The fact that we didn't do well last year and the fact that they did dominate us a year ago, that's not going to affect us this year. What's going to affect us this year is the preparation this week and what we do on Saturday and their preparation and what they do on Saturday.
Do you feel you're taking a better team up there this year compared to last year?
I don't know if I'm taking a better team. I think I'm taking a team that has grown pretty well over the span of the year. I think the circumstances last year at the end of the season were different. For example, last year we did not get a bye. We had the game at Montana, which was an incredible game, played a minus 25-degree wind chill. We traveled over 9,000 miles in the middle of exams with that. So we didn't quite have the juice, I think, not enthusiasm, but just the energy, perhaps, that would have liked to see us have. We did get a bye this time. We played our first round at home. We didn't play it in 25 degrees below zero, and now we're going to have to go. It's not that far. It's a 2.5-hour trip. An hour time change. None of that should be the end of the world, and we'll be ready to play.
All right, I got to ask you a financial question. You know that. Oil prices. You were talking about that earlier. Have they hit rock bottom? Where do you see that going? And what's your thoughts about what to do with oil stocks?
Here's my thought. Number one, I have no idea if it's hit rock bottom. Probably it hasn't, but I don't know that. But here's what I do know. I do know that right now the supply-demand balance around the world with regards to oil is probably a little bit more supply than demand. Just as the population of the world grows, that's going to start to change over the span of the next year or two. We know that 6 months ago, I could be a little bit off of my numbers, but the barrel per oil was probably the cost per barrel of oil was around $112. Today it's around $62. I know energy stocks have gotten hammered. And I think with oil below $70 a barrel, I think you're supposed to start to buy energy stocks. So the way I would do that is I would decide how much money I want in my portfolio for energy, and I would start to average in literally right now. I'm actually doing that in my own portfolio. And if oil goes a little lower, I'll buy a little more. If it goes a little lower, I'll buy a little more, and I'll continue to buy as oil goes down. I'm doing that with the belief that at some point over the span of the next 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to have oil go back to over $100 a barrel, and those will become very, very, very significant trades.
Coach, as always, we appreciate it. Good luck to you up in North Dakota, and hopefully we'll talk some football with you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Phil.
All right, there you go.
All right, let me hold on. I'm logging on to my
Cohen, you want me to put it another way?
401k here. Buy oil. Buy low, sell high.
Cohen, you want me to put it another way?
Yes, what's that, Pro?
The other way is this. As soon as somebody else starts a skirmish in the Middle East, oil goes up. So all he's doing is waiting for something else to happen. Here we go again.
He gives you great I mean, some coaches would laugh, and he really does give you meaty answers there.
But here's the problem that we all face. On the one hand, if you invest in oil, then you want the price of oil to go up, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And if the price of oil goes up, then the price of gasoline.
What do you think speculators have been doing with oil for years now? I mean, that's.
Well, I know, but I mean, I feel like rushing out and buying about.
You're an oil tycoon, Corn.
$1.5 million shares in Shell Oil.
Corn's middle name.
Then
it's Phil Exxon Kornblut. A lot of people don't know that his middle name is Exxon. He was the captain of the Valdez.
Then I have to root for oil prices to go up and pay more at the pump. I'm, caught in the middle there. We'll be right back. We're going to talk with Mark Quinn from Touchstone Energy, the folks that are behind the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl, the North-South game here in Myrtle Beach, coming up on Saturday at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium. Everything is being put in place. The artificial surface is in great shape, and players are working hard, and they're looking forward to putting on a good show. Hope you can make it, and if you do make it, you can hear the ball game on the radio here in the Grand Strand area. Here is the list of affiliates who have said they will carry the broadcast as of today. Over in Camden, we've got WPUB FM 102.7 and WCAM AM 1590. In the Cameron Orangeburg area, WTQS AM 1490. Chesterfield, WVSZ FM 107.3. In Columbia, The Point Radio, WQXL AM 1470 and WQXL FM 95.9. In the Myrtle Beach, Conway, Grand Strand area, WHSC AM 1050, WHSC FM 101.9. Over in the PD Florence area, WOLH AM 1230. In Greenville, the upstate, WYRD FM 106.3. In Kingstree, WDKD AM 1310. Over in Newberry, WKDK AM 1240. And Rock Hill, Lancaster, WRHM FM 107.1. So we've got an excellent list of stations, and also we'll be streaming the audio on our website, sportstalksc.com. Pro K-Mac, I know you'll be tuned in on Saturday.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. I'll be out and about on Saturday. I've been told by my better half will be doing some Christmas shopping, so I'll be listening on our Columbia
Oh,
affiliate.
boy, better wear your hip pads then.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to it. I would just assume slide down a razor blade into a pool of alcohol as opposed to going out.
K-Mac. You do not enjoy Christmas shopping? Come on.
I mean, no, I really don't.
You can do it on your laptop.
It's the crowds. It's not that I don't enjoy the giving. I do believe it is better to give than to receive, but I just don't like the process of going out and dealing with people, crowds of people in particular.
By the way, K-Mac,
yes,
your snarky comments about the Independence Bowl in Shreveport apparently drew the ire of the communications manager for the bowl. What did you do?
I knew I might be in a little bit of trouble when I got an email today, and it just said, message for Kevin McCrary was a subject line, and it was from a guy named Chris J., public relations and social media manager with the Shreveport Bossier City area.
Ooh.
And he said that they've been getting they want to raise awareness about the nightlife, restaurant scene, craft breweries, etc., because many folks are bashing the city, especially online. And they then again put it at the bottom of the email that someone encouraged them to send this to me in particular. So hey, go to Shreveport, man. Spring break 2015, kids, ask your parents for money now. About $400, you can live like a king in Shreveport for about 2 weeks.
Back to our Sports South Carolina Radio Network. We are in Myrtle Beach where the practices continue today. The North-South game, the Touchstone Energy Bowl coming up on Saturday. Airtime on our network will be noon and kickoff will be at 12:30. You know, Touchstone Energy has really thrown a lot of its weight behind this game, a lot of its time, effort, and money. Mark Quinn is with Touchstone Energy. He's a former sports anchor in Columbia at Channel 10, and today at practice I had a chance to talk to him and ask him his thoughts about Touchstone being involved in this game once again for the second consecutive year and what that means to all concerned on his end.
Upset, Phil. Last year was an experiment. We did fully Monday in practice.
That's going to work. Hang on a second here.
On now.
What
is this guy doing? Amateur hour here on
Producer error by the non-producer.
Something is well. What happened was,
it worked in dress rehearsal.
Yeah, it did really. I don't understand what's going on here.
Double clicked it.
We've got this on videotape, and I'm trying to play it directly off the video. For some reason, it's refeeding through and creating a reverb there. So I don't know what to do, to be quite honest with you. So let's just move on for the time being till I figure it out. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. We'll get that interview with Mark to you here in just a little bit. If not tonight, we'll get it ready for tomorrow night. I did the same thing with Coach Keith Richardson, too.
Oh,
so
that'll be great.
I need to figure that out. Something is just reverberating, repeating as we try to feed it that way. So not good. All right, I've got some email that we can get to here for a couple of minutes. How about that?
Yes, Corn. That'd be good.
Okay.
I don't think that'll mess. I don't think you can screw that one up.
All right, this is from Yarky. That was my impersonation of repeating myself.
Yeah, that was great, Corn. Well done.
Yarky, what position do you think Oglesby will play for Clemson? My guess is he's going to play wide receiver, slot receiver. That's my guess. Also, from Yarky, what's the latest info on Huggins, Wilkins, Orr, and Reynolds? Well, we talked about Huggins announcing on Friday, Clemson or Georgia. Georgia in tomorrow. Wilkins, Clemson is supposed to be up to see him tomorrow up in Connecticut. I will never have any good information on Wilkins because he never takes a phone call. And his coach never takes a phone call and never returns a message. I've never dealt with people so inconsiderate when it comes to dealing with the media. I've called his coach 100 times. I've called him 200 times. I've texted. I've Facebooked. I've sent smoke signals. I've dropped leaflets. I've done everything you can humanly do except getting in my car, driving up to the school, and knocking on the door. And no response. Should I take that personally?
No.
Defensive back Kareem Orr, talked about him last night. Clemson's in the hunt, going to get an official visit out of Chattanooga. And Mook Reynolds, defensive back, committed to Virginia Tech out of North Carolina, looking at Clemson as well. So they, I don't think the Tigers are going to take more than one more cornerback. They've offered another kid, Michael Jackson, from Hoover, Alabama. Catch that came out?
Oh, very good. I thought for a minute the King of Pop.
Does he play with a white glove too?
So anyway, they've offered him, and I don't think they're going to take more than one of them. I think they'd like to get one cornerback and one of these defensive linemen to close out their class. So that is that. This is from Jeffrey. Hi, Phil. Listened to your show since the game, talking about USC Clemson, and I've yet to hear the so-called guru, Dr. Rick, as in Rick Sanford, and a few others call in to explain. But perhaps I missed the so-called guru who proclaimed that the chickens would score at least 35 points. First of all, Jeffrey, they don't like to be called chickens. They like to be called fighting Gamecocks. So let's get that straight. And as for Dr. Rick and his statements about not playing anyone, he may be correct, but they still have yet to play anyone. And even he said the Chicks would win by at least 2 touchdowns. Did Dr. Rick say that, K-Mac?
If you say so.
Well, this is what Jeffrey says. Dr. Rick is one of my favorite ball players, and I have told him this often on Teddy's show. Perhaps you need to have a roll call Monday with Dr. Rick, the guest host for such a segment. Then maybe everyone can explain why the visor quit on his team and wouldn't call timeouts. Just something, Phil. I'll be listening, Tiger Jeff. It's so good to have nature back in order.
Everything's great. The sun's brighter, the flowers are prettier, the grass is greener, the food tastes better.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's the importance of winning your rivalry game. It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but I agree with Will Merritt. I mean, you win a game. I mean, this to me is a rivalry. I don't think it will ever be, in my opinion, dominated the way Clemson did maybe the last, I guess, before the 5-game winning streak. What did they win? 8 out of 10 or 8 out of 11 or something like that. I just think these two programs have gotten to the point now it's going to be back and forth for a while.
All right, here's an email from Calvin, actually a post on our website to our story about the Gamecocks losing a commitment to Louisville, and he's writing about Bobby Petrino being a jerk, and he says, yes, ask any former Falcons player. Remember, Petrino met with the players and owner Art Blanks and told them he would remain the Falcons coach, and then hours later was introduced on TV as the Arkansas coach without ever telling the owner or players that he had left. Players even called him a liar and bold-faced coward and stated anything he says to you is only in his own best interest, and we wouldn't believe him about anything. What a scumbag. They said worse, but it can't be printed. Do you think Bobby Petrino, hang on, do you think Bobby Petrino now has successfully changed his image?
No, but if he wins, who cares?
When he got enough, I don't know, when he was scrapping on the field before the Kentucky game in the season finale, I was thinking, here's a guy that's really turned things around. This guy's sharpened up his image as he was shoving a Kentucky coach.
You don't think Louisville fans love that? You don't think they love that and ate that up?
Oh yeah, I know they love that. And in fact, he's coming home. I think some of the best success was when he was coached there the last time. In fairness to Bobby Petrino, in each of the Falcons players' locker, which started with "To whom it may concern."
Or Dear John, as in John Abraham. All right, this is from Country Boy, and he's writing about Hillcrest winning over Dutch Fork for its first state championship. He's responding to that story, and he goes, as a Dorman fan who never gets anywhere with their 3,500 students, well, that's not true. I was pulling for Hillcrest to win state team. Way to go. See what a difference a good coach can do. It's not, man, Coach Gutshaw's an excellent coach.
Excellent coach. One of the big winners in the state.
Yeah. By the way, I ran into Bob Hanna today at practice, the former Irmo coach. He is now coaching in North Carolina, just across the border in Charlotte. I think it's
Shalom?
West Columbus High School. No, Charlotte, not Shalom.
No.
Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah.
Yeah, he's coaching over there, and seems quite happy. Have you heard anything more about the big-name Columbia area high school coach leaving to go for a job in Florida?
I have not heard anything. I was just waiting to see if Will Muschamp's been hired at South Carolina for a third time, but that hasn't happened yet either.
He might be hired at Wisconsin now.
Will Muschamp to Wisconsin. Done deal.
All right, I'm going to try and get you that Mark Quinn piece coming up here after the break if I can figure it out. Be right back. All right. See, I think it is
1-2. Yeah, there's a red light. Okay.
See, I have to play. It's got to be because the audio. I think it's because when you bring it up, it's cycling through.
Awful lot away from the game.
Yeah. I'm going to kill my video feed here. All right, bring me up on the board, Steak Man. Okay.
Around the state that
hello.
They hear back from.
That's it. It's that video feed. Yeah. So we
Marlboro Electric Cooperative and what they
you got that up on the board? Does that sound good?
Them
okay. Oh, I will.
Heard from the coach Monday at practice. He goes, "You're doing, fully know what we were getting into until you do it one time." But see what after that first year.
We'll see how long this is.
See you later in the week.
I appreciate that.
This will be a long-term.
Okay, we're back, and through the magic of me, I have figured out the issue with our interview. It is now good to go. Mark Quinn from Touchstone Energy. I visited with him earlier today at practice on the north side, and this is their second year involved, of course, in the north-south game, the Touchstone Energy Bowl. And I asked Mark about the involvement of his company in this game, what it means to them, and how he foresees the future of the relationship between his company, the Coaches Association, and the north-south game.
Well, I sure hope so, Phil. Last year was an experiment of sorts. We didn't fully know what we were getting into until you do it one time. But see what after that first year, I bought in wholeheartedly, and I think everybody in the cooperative system, our 20 electric cooperatives around the state, they bought in wholeheartedly. And year 2 has even been that much more fun because you know a lot more about what you're doing, more ways that you can promote the game, because really this is about celebrating the accomplishments of all these kids who have worked so hard. They're dedicated. They're good young men, celebrating the accomplishments of the coaches. I mean, this is their game. And that's one of the best things about this is I've got a lot of affection, affinity for the coaching fraternity. They're really the unsung heroes of education, I think. We talk about teachers a lot, love them, got to have them in the classroom. But, man, these coaches, they sacrifice and work an awful lot away from the game. Not just X's and O's, but taking care of the kids, turning them into fine young men. And we've got a great group of 88 here this week.
No question about that. Have you found in your conversations with your representatives around the state that they hear back from people about Touchstone's involvement in the game?
Yeah, even just this week, I delivered some tickets to our Bennettsville Marlboro Electric Cooperative. And what they did is they took them out and delivered them to extended family of some of the kids who play for Marlboro County High School there. And I heard from the coach on Monday at practice. He goes, somebody from the cooperative came by and dropped off tickets to the family. I can't thank you enough for that because I wasn't sure they were going to be able to make it to the game. So it's little things like that that really mean an awful lot. Gives you a connection to the game, celebrates again the achievements of these young men because they deserve to be lauded. We support education in every form and facet. We celebrate the young kids who do outstanding work, community service in the classroom. These young men are just as accomplished. They're just as accomplished, and it happens to be on the football field.
Absolutely. What do you feel are some of the little things that Touchstone has helped to bring to the game now in its second year of involvement?
Well, we have 20 cooperatives spread out all across the state. We're in all 46 counties. We serve more than 1.3 million consumers. So we've got a broad reach. We have a large base of people in which we can publicize to. One of the best things I think we have is our monthly magazine, South Carolina Living. It is free to every electric cooperative member in the state for those that take the magazine, and that is just a huge megaphone and communications tool for us. Got a companion website, so that is a great avenue to be able to talk about the game and talk about these young men.
It's been a great week so far. It's only going to get better because tomorrow the players go and meet up with kids from the Myrtle Beach area, kids in some form or fashion in a position of need, and going to share some holiday gifts with them. And then on Friday night, we've got the Coaches Hall of Fame going in, and then Mr. Football on Saturday is part of the festivities here for the game. So we got a lot going on the next few days.
I think the shopping trip on Thursday is a real highlight. You've got 4 economically disadvantaged young people here from Horry School District. They're going to get a $100 gift card courtesy of the Coaches Association, and they're going to be able to buy presents for their family, where otherwise they probably would have had a pretty meager Christmas. I love the fact that the game is being dedicated to Coach Bob Prevot, the former Gaffney coach in the 60s, got a big contingent coming down from Gaffney. Not only was he a great coach, he turned out to be a great businessman, working for Jerry Richardson there, now the Panthers owner. He stayed in Gaffney pretty much his entire life, been living there since 1961. I think that's going to be a special moment. And Mr. Football on Saturday, I really do like the fact that it's been moved to halftime of the game. It's more attention for the game, and I like the energy it brings to that announcement there. It's not just in a banquet. Right. Those guys don't like getting dressed up in the coat and tie and sitting up on the dais. They're going to be out there midfield. The announcement's going to be pretty anticipatory, and so I think that's one of the cool things that's happened here since we had a chance to take over the game.
And I've noticed, too, you have a poll question on your website about who you think should be Mr. Football this year, and a lot of response. I think last time I checked, over 5,000 responses.
Yeah, that was really surprising, but a really neat way for people and fans to interact. And if you want to vote, there's still time. You can go to scliving.coop. scliving.coop, and you can vote there for who you think's the favorite to win Mr. Football. My personal favorite, the kid from Northwestern, Dupree Hart. Little guy, he's 5'7", but he's a player. Yeah. Not going to play college football. He's going to play baseball at College of Charleston, but he's a gamer, man. I love that kid.
Mark, we appreciate it so much, and thank you for your involvement. Hopefully this will be a long-term relationship between your folks and the game, and we'll see you later in the week.
I appreciate that, Phil. The co-op's really proud of this event, really happy to support this. I think being able to be here in Myrtle Beach, be around all this excellence and enthusiasm is a really, really good thing for us. Appreciate it.
All right, Mark Quinn visiting with us earlier today from the practice fields here in Myrtle Beach. Back in a moment. Sports Talk from the beach and Columbia and all over South Carolina, brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at sesoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. All right. Thanks to Mark Quinn for being with us and talking about things going on with the Touchstone Energy folks and their involvement in the game. I tell you what, folks with the game couldn't be happier about that relationship. This game's very important to the state of South Carolina. If you're a football fan, it's key that this game continue to thrive. They raise money for scholarships, for coaches, offsprings, children, things of that nature. They give kids an opportunity to come down to the beach for a week and have a great time. Their involvement with Mr. Football Award, their involvement with the Hall of Fame induction ceremony on Friday night, the shopping spree that the players go on with some kids here in Myrtle Beach, just so many things that they get to do. And then next week, of course, up in Spartanburg, the Shriners will be doing their thing with the Shrine Bowl. And they, of course, are equally involved in a number of great causes, too. So we, in South Carolina, are very lucky to have a couple of excellent all-star games here in back-to-back weeks at the conclusion of the high school football season. All right. Pro, are you calling this an upset alert over in Lexington, Kentucky? Is that what you're saying?
Upset alert.
No, all they need is an attitude adjustment. You could tell Kentucky walked in, let's roll out the balls, let's go home. Well, Columbia's a little bit of a game team, but they're going to be outmanned in the second half. There's no doubt.
And by the way, Corn, if anybody out there wants to see Andre Roberts, former Citadel Bulldog, and Bashad Breeland, former Clemson Tiger, now both current Washington Redskins, if you want to watch them brawl and practice, we have that video posted for you on our Facebook page. You have to go to our Facebook page, Sports Talk Radio Networks. Check that out.
Why were they brawling?
I don't know. I guess somebody said something wrong. Well, they play for the Redskins. That's enough of. I'd want to fight somebody if I was on that dumpster fire of a team. But yeah, they went at it pretty good. Can't tell who got the better of it. Breeland was standing there, and Roberts just came up and started swinging. Then they got into a tussle, and then the players broke them up. But it was a pretty intense fight that you can watch if you're into such things on our website, not the website, the Facebook page.
Save your fighting for the field. Save your energy and your efforts for between the lines, not with your teammates. That's counterproductive. That does no one any good. All right. Final thoughts, Pro. How about update me on that Hornets and Celtics matchup over in Queen City?
Last time I checked, it was tied at 26.
Very good. See, K-Mac, my team wants to win.
Good.
I say win every chance you
win
get.
Them all.
Win
them all.
Win.
I want a top 5 pick in the NBA draft and a big, I'm ready to bounce back. I want this to be the end of it.
Terrible approach.
It's not the ideal approach, but I want to get
38-32 Boston.
I'm on board with Magic Johnson.
All right, everybody, have a great night. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, K-Mac, Pro, and Steak Man. We will see you back here on Sports Talk tomorrow night.